Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel. Tonight, I'm going to talk about Critical Role Campaign 3, Episode 38, A Dark Balance. I am, of course, alone tonight. Scott couldn't be here. We begin the episode with the resurrection. And as usual, the subject of the resurrection not at the table. And interestingly, I thought, not as many tears in this one as in the past. And what surprised me is Orem stepping up first to appeal to Laudna's spirit. And he begins humbly, as is Orem's way, I think. And he appeals to her light. That Bell's Hells needs her light, as well as her darkness. And Rose, I was not expecting her Imogen to go first. Generally, they leave the most impactful, the one who's closest to that person, to last. Generally, that's how they do the resurrection. So I was expecting Imogen to be last. What really surprised, like Orem's starting was kind of a shock, but yes, FCG stepping in second position really threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that. To be honest, I was expecting Ashton. And he just kept back. FCG resorting to compel to spellcraft was a big yikes for me. And Matt saying, okay, you can use your spell casting if you're going to do that, I thought was an interesting call. And Sam was rewarded rightfully by the dice. The natural one was the correct result. Let's just say that. Imogen taking his action and failure and weaving it into hers. You shouldn't have to be compelled. This should be your choice. This time it should be your choice. And for me, the phrase that sort of, in my mind, the dice gave her the result she also deserved was essentially her saying, I don't know what you're gonna feel when you come back, if you're gonna be hollow, but I'll fill that void. Essentially, I'll be your Delilah. and the dice correctly, I think, gave her the result that she deserved. And Orem, I think, having been the only one to really express what she meant to him and the group at large, was correct that he's the only one that got a success. And yeah, the dice know. Rose, for sure, the dice know. Matt couldn't find his resurrection die. I wonder if he just misplaced it, or if Marisha had a feeling and so she scooped it, or if he thought they were going to get to it last week and had put it somewhere behind his screen. Most of the players have either a drawer or a cubby, and I don't remember if in the tour that they showed if Matt has them, but I think he does. So it wouldn't surprise me if that die is somewhere in that area, because he probably thought, I don't want to leave this behind. I want to have this, so I'm going to put it here. And he just forgot that he put it there. Yeah. But he picks a die that is reminiscent of Laudna, black and purple. Rolls, and he says, I'm going to take a picture of this. Matt doesn't always do that. And it got the players nervous. And he continued to stretch that nervousness out. Laudna doesn't sit straight up the way others have in the past. Pike is confused on whether or not it worked. She tries to check for, life signs. Is she breathing? And they start getting in. Travis especially, I think, was getting impatient. He's like, what did you roll? I think he finally, gasps out, or did it work or something like that. And it's at that point that Matt releases the tension and Pike slaps Laudna, waking her up. And then he revealed that he rolled a 16. And I think everyone there at the table thought the DC was higher. And somebody mentioned, was it a 15? And Matt's like, no. And quoted a DC, which later in the episode, he goes through the math and comes to a different DC. So it's a good thing the dice were very clear as to what should happen. Because can you imagine if he had rolled like a 12 or an 11? Something that was on the cusp or met the proper DC but was below what he thought it was? That would have been an interesting... well, Matt probably would have done the math immediately instead of later, I think. But yeah. Laudna, not pleased to be in Whitestone, I was reminded of when they resurrected Scanlan. Not exactly the same circumstance, and their reactions were, of course, different. But that idea of returning to life, but not happy where you're at, is an interesting place to play in. And I think Marisha enjoyed that space. And Vex being ready to shoot her with a bramble arrow was also nice, nice and fitting. And thank goodness she's not like her brother, because otherwise London would be dead. Pike, I'm assuming the spell that Matt is using is Detect Good and Evil. But Pike assures Vex it's Laudna, not Delilah. And, okay, great. I did love the pre-resurrection questioning of, well, what, are you worried about what your husband's going to say? It'll be fine. And it's so very subtle, but Laura's, as Travis put it, face journey in that moment was amazing, because, like, she agrees with how Matt's playing Vex, I think, that Vex would do that. And Vex would do that because Laura would do that. But Laura can't really glory in that kind of behavior because her husband's sitting right there. And so she kind of got to keep a lid on it. That, and I think she's trying to stay sort of in the moment with her and Laudna interacting. Matt reminds her after she's already rolled once. And her rolls are garbage anyway, so it's not like... wasn't an edge case. But he says, do remember you have a -4 to all of your d20 rolls, which will decrease by 1 every long rest. And they're like, whoa. It's been a while since anyone's been resurrected. So that was fun. I'm a little sad that when Vex opens the door, there were all of those riflemen and Pale Guard and Percy. I would have preferred fewer, just so the players might have been tempted to throw down. But Matt doesn't necessarily want that to happen. And Percy is definitely, let's hit them with overwhelming force type. So it also made sense that he would have everybody at the ready. When I watched the show live and Percy says, do I have your assurance or your authority? I was confused by the wording. And I was like, what? But I am 90% sure Taliesin asked that very question, but I don't remember exactly when it was. So on my rewatch, I was like, "Oh no, I think he did use that phrase." It might have been with Pike's family, or somebody that they were not sure about their allegiance. Anyway, I just wanted to give Matt a shout out for using the exact verbiage, because last time we were talking, I said that I could hear Matt talking when he was playing Keyleth because of his word choice, of his vocabulary usage. And so I got to give him a shout out this time. The other interesting thing, as that scene developed, was Matt sort of cleansing the memory of Laudna. Of lifting the chains, as it were, of clearing out, and implying that Delilah's presence had not only been sort of darkening her memories, but poisoning them as almost a means of control. And Matt narrating to her the feelings that she's having about being back in Whitestone and seeing, color and hearing children in the market, where for her it had been a dead city. I thought was interesting. And Marisha runs with that when she goes up to the Sun Tree and she narrates how for Laudna, the Nega Sun Tree and the Sun Tree are sort of superimposing on each other and flashing back and forth in her vision. And I love Marisha's line, I'm still having a dream. It's just not a nightmare. Which is interesting. And sort of, in the weird way that they do, foreshadowing of Imogen's vision later in the episode. We get a little girl and brother or friends running through the square, and Laudna sort of latches on, and Matt plays along. I have a feeling we have yet to uncover exactly why Laudna has that reaction to children. So I'm hoping it comes up, but I don't know that it will. And the little girl says, "You're scary." And, Laudna's like, but a fun scary. We get a pate tease for what's coming. And then an interesting commune with the Sun Tree. I didn't quite... In the moment live, I was like, why would you be, I don't know, sort of hugging your gallows? But on the other hand, we don't know how reverent Laudna was of the Sun Tree in life. And seeing as her family were farmers, it was probably pretty important to them. The other interesting thing was her form of dread that she took on. And I don't know if what Marisha described means it's going to be different from now on. So I'm interested to see if the tree motif returns, or if it will continue to be her veil. Percy apologizes for her trauma, which I think took her aback, and encourages Percy and everybody to, connect with the Sun Tree, touch it. And I loved Percy basically saying, yeah, Keyleth talked to it. And, or, yeah, Keyleth talks to a lot of trees. Vex implies she may want a favor. And then Fern tries to steal from Pike, as was set up before. And bless Ashley for doing it, because stealing from your former character is totally the best thing to do. Especially if you confirm they have something you really, really want in terms of items. But I think she just wanted her holy symbol, because I think Ashley has decided that Fern has a thing for holy symbols. Just because I think she wants things that are important to people, that hag upbringing, and holy symbols always have that for people. So, yeah. But yes, back to Pate, and my most excited moment of the episode. And Rose, I was not surprised at all by Matt's portrayal of Pate. I think he was portraying Pate exactly how Laudna puppets him. His voice was very much like Marisha's. I was surprised at the talking. That was the biggest thing. But I remembered in the midst of my, why is Pate talking? One, Pact of the Chain, if they take, I think if they take an invocation, they can speak through their familiar. So I was like, well, it could be that. And it's just, instead of Marisha doing the voice so that she can have a conversation with Pate, or other people can, that Matt just is I'm gonna talk for him. But Uh, the big thing that I was like, huh, was the wings and flying. And as I started thinking about, well, maybe she's just casting her voice through Pate, basically. I was like, wait a minute. Pact of the Chain can summon imps and pseudo dragons. And I was like, is Pate just reskinned imp? And I think that's probably the case. We won't know until 100%. We won't know until like they get in a fight and some kind of stinger attack happens. But even then, I was like, well, we might not even see that because Matt could just completely make up a new stat block, just sort of base it on the amp. And instead of doing a bunch of poison damage, it might do necrotic damage, you know. Oh, see, I missed. Okay, so confession time, guys. This was a long episode, and I fell asleep on it live. And on my rewatch, I had to skip around, and I missed that part where he's confirmed that it was an imp. So, yay me for having figured that out. So yeah, cool. Thank you for confirming my thought. They go to the castle, and Laudna is not pleased to be going. They have dinner, and Percy talks about Tyrion and Doty, and gives FCG enough information that he could send a letter to Terry. And I think FCG wants to actually meet him. And since the Cerberus Assembly has been implicated in the plots happening, that may be more likely than less. Yeah, Rose, hit. I don't want to call it a preoccupation, but yeah, 100% he's been trying to figure out why he's different. And we shall see. Fern asks for Percy, personally, to make her a gun for her monkey. And Percy is shocked, horrified, and is, you know, I just put it together. There were shades of Percy talking to Grog in that moment. That was Grog saying something and Percy going, "What? What? No!" And then trying to explain to Grog why no. But she rolled really well, and Vex says, "Well, that sounds an awful lot like the pop guns you made our children." Percy's like, "No, okay, yeah, okay," and that's what he gives her. And he says, "Do not give this to the monkey until you are well out of Whitestone." I don't know if Matt is going to do anything with that. I don't think he necessarily needs to, other than it might just be a little bit of fun flavor. But we'll see. It would be the first time that Ashley has tried to work Matt for a mechanical benefit or change. Where Taliesin, Orion, and Laura all the time in campaign 1 were, well, can we make this, and could we enhance, this thing does this and this thing does this, we'd like to put it together and make it do this. And Matt having to spin his wheels and think fast often. But this is the first time that Ashley has done that, which I find interesting. I look forward to seeing where it goes. And Fern, I think her MO is have an idea, forget about it. Something reminds her about it. Oh yeah, and then forget about it. Wait, oh yeah. I think that's just how Ashley is interpreting her low intelligence, and it is a lot of fun. Imogen silently communicating with Vex. It's not lobster you're serving, is it? Because she was served lobster here before she was murdered, basically, is what, is the gist. And Vex is like, I'm going to go to the kitchen, see what's happening with the main course. To change it to essentially potato soup. They retire to a room, and Liam asks if it's where they had the manners ball. And I was really hoping Scott would be here, because he tends to remember these things sometimes better than me. But I think what Liam was referring to is when Pike's family came to visit. And, Rose, I think 100% Matt was playing with Laura. I don't think he was planning on... He hadn't described any of the food. And that's why I say he didn't plan on anything. If he had been describing the meal, then I would say maybe he had planned it. But because Laura brought it up, and it's funnier if Vex has to go change something real quick, and is very much in keeping with the pre-planning of Vox Machina that she would have to. I think he's just like, no, okay, we're gonna roll with it, because that's funnier. But I think in retrospect, it sort of distracted a little bit, and I don't think Vex ever had the conversation that I think he had in his head that she wanted to have, or that he wanted to have. And I think the lobster bit was part of that. Although maybe she just wanted to give her the ring, and that's what the end goal of that was going to be. Which, if memory serves, she got her ring of protection upgraded to a +2. So I was surprised that it was a +1. But yeah. The Manners Ball comment was really kind of bugging me, and I'm like 40% that it was when Pike's family was there. Yeah. Anyway. Laudna says to everybody, I don't want to sleep here. I want to sleep by the sun tree. Which is kind of interesting, but I think in some ways is sort of in keeping thematically with Laudna's journey in this episode of transmuting her dark memories into something more light, more good. Getting back to Orm's, speech during the ritual. And she wants to sleep by the sun tree. So now she has had a different dinner at the castle and spent a different kind of night beneath the sun tree. So maybe in some way she has found a way that perhaps in the future. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. I may have hit the button by accident. Sorry. Oh, that's the first time that's ever happened. So yeah, the interesting thing for me that was funny was apparently there are no vagrancy laws in Whitestone, and people can just sleep in the middle of the town square under the sun tree. But so after this thought occurred to me, Rose, I was like, on the other hand, they did specify they were taking sheets and blankets from the castle. So that might insulate them from being bugged by the guards if they see the DeRollo livery on what they're sleeping in. They probably assumed they had permission. So, I don't know. Either way, it's kind of funny. Exactly, Rose. The guard on night duty. Who they? Oh, they're in Castle Finery. Okay, whatever. Especially when political fallout might be involved with confronting them, for sure. We go to break, and when we come back, Ashley asks about talking to the Sun Tree. And Matt's like, well, do you have the spell? And then she's like, well, no. He's like, well, you just came up from a long rest. You can change your spells. Oh, yeah. Prepare speak with plants. And I was waiting for it. We joked about it. I don't remember if we did it on the air, but we joked about Fern talking to the Sun Tree. And we get the return of the Sun Tree. Hey, Fern. And brilliantly, she asks, well, she starts, how old are you? How long have you been? He's like, a long time. And she's like, have there always been 2 moons since you've been here? And he's like, yeah, as long as I've been here. Are you excited about the apogee solstice? I don't know, I just kind of feel tingly. Which, bless you, Ashley, bless you. Because we know that the Sun Tree was planted during the calamity. I think. Shit, I'm not sure. But I think it was. To seal away the evil of the betrayer god's temple beneath. Which is what Vecna used. We know, or I've theorized, that these places are important. We saw the Chained Oblivion attack a temple of the Dawn Father in Campaign 2 when they were trying to break free, when they were trying to free betrayers and their servants. So I'm excited that Fern is going to potentially be talking to other sacred trees, or, communing with nature, where the apogee solstice is going to be taking place, like getting the pulse of the nature spirits in an area over the ley lines, coming together over them, as it were. Imogen's nightmare or dream that FCG is part of. His dream spell finally pays off. She thinks she sees Esseros. Sends a message. No response. And Chetney disappointed me. So I had my high in the episode of Marisha confirming Pact of the Chain. It was great. And then my absolute low was when Chetney gave Imogen the horse. Because that means I'm not going to get my coffin. But her gift was impressive. And it didn't require any metal, was So good. I saw somebody say that the reason it took him so long to get it for her was because Travis was putting it together, but he could only do it at the office when she wasn't there, um, which I buy. Uh, it also impressed the DeRollos. They call for a magical pickup, and it takes 2 spells because they are unclear. And as much shit as Sam gave Laura about her casting Sending, he really is no better at it. And him trying to imitate, you know, telegrams did not help at all. It just fractured his train of thought, I think, which, is probably fair for FCG. I think his train of thought gets fractured a lot, probably. But they go to Gilmore's to do some shopping, and Gilmore is not there. He is busy working on things for Vox Machina and or the Council of Taldori. The powerful folks. And Liam flexes on everybody at the table by saying, "Oh yeah, we met Gilmore," and everyone's like, "What?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we were him on." So good. Part of me wonders if Matt won't play Gilmore anymore because of the cartoon, and someone else is playing Gilmore now. I don't know if that's the case. Only time will tell. But yeah, I wondered about that. If the reason Gilmore wasn't here or wasn't sort of called up or what have you is because Matt's just not going to play him anymore. And we don't have to have Gilmore in the scene to be reminded of his presence or to feel his importance. So yeah, I don't know. Ashton, as if he were buying a round of drinks, buys healing potions, 750 gold worth. And the one person he calls by name to give a potion to is Laudna. And he does give them out to everybody at the table. But Laudna, and I did not catch if he gave her a greater one or a regular one. Perhaps tomorrow or in the next 10 days, someone will clip out that portion and we'll be able to see. They'll zoom in and we'll be able to see what shape and size bottle it is, because there is a difference at the table because they have to hold different numbers of dice. Fern buys the toy griffin, which kind of devastate is too strong a word, but Chetney was not pleased by that purchase, and you could see, noticed Travis sort of sulking after it happened. So yeah, we'll see what happens, if anything comes from that. And FCG goes to church and learns to pray, and FCG is surprised that roads are holy places for the change bringer. And I got a little bit of a chuckle out of it because, I mean, everything that Matt said makes sense, but a prime deity having roads as a sacred place, and the idea that crossroad devils are a thing, sort of made me chuckle. Although, to be fair, we don't know that crossroad devils are a thing in Exandria, but, I mean, they gotta be. They confirm Estros is dead. They go to his house, investigate. We get some familiar play. Send the familiar in first. We will see if Pate has better or worse luck than Frumpkin, I think, going forward, and I'm excited to see that. An imp is certainly more survivable than a cat or an octopus, so we might not see Pate getting kicked and going away. It will be interesting to see yeah. Well, that reminds me. Find Familiar, when she cast it. She cast it without components. And poof, it was there. And normally, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm a stickler. It doesn't annoy me when they don't, but I feel I have to mention it because so many people watch discussion content to, learn things. But, and I discussed this previously on the show, that I didn't think the first time she cast it, she was going to have the components, because she made Pate. And it's very easily likely that she's put in the equivalent of 10 gold into his pieces. So I'm not particularly bothered by her not having the incense. I was a little sad because if there's ever a moment that breathing in the burning incense and speaking breath into your familiar life, it's an undead familiar. Maybe we'll get that next time, or something like it. So we'll see. Chetney also goes in to investigate and finds a letter and a will. I kind of wish Travis had stowed the letter for real and not said anything. But maybe he's not evil. Wink. But I did say many episodes ago that Estros was going to die, and that Estros was going to leave Bell's Hells, his estate or some portion of it. And I was proven correct. He left to Bell's Hells his skyship and his magic weapon. I am eager to find out which one of them takes the magic weapon. And part of me thinks it's going to be Orym. I think, well, I mean, Ashton has his magic weapon already. Chetney is too connected to his chisels to just not use them. And Orym has already displayed an eagerness to, switch out weapons. The only thing he's really attached to is his shield. So much so that he had the enchantment transferred onto a new one. So I think Orym's going to be the one to take Estros's weapon. But it could be FCG, maybe. Well, he doesn't have martial weapons, and I'm pretty sure it's a martial weapon. I'm pretty sure it's a rapier, statted as a rapier. Yeah, that's true also. Orym was the one who sort of bonded the most with Estros and sort of rekindled or gave him hope that there were others in the world that believed as he did. That's a good point, Rose. So it does make sense that Orym would get it for that reason too. Them getting the skyship means I think we are done with Drushar. I don't think we're coming back here. I think we are going to go to Eos directly by the safest route, probably. And I think we might see, probably in 4 or 5 episodes, Otahan and or her minions make an appearance. I think we will get more information on the moon, and possibly a lead on Imogen's mother. That's a stretch, but I think it's possible. In any case, no Critical Role this Thursday, which means no Wild Speculations next Tuesday, but I am going to do a stream where we design a city, because On Twitter, someone asked, is there anyone who streams that kind of thing? And I went, I should do that because I have thoughts. So that will be next Tuesday. Yeah. Well, I think they all assumed that Imogen, or that Estros was killed by the assassins and could not be revived. Which is why Orym was like, does it smell familiar? And MVP, for me, was Laudna. But Imogen was a close second for me. I think Marisha just, for me, stole the show when she was there. Even when she was being quiet, the acting work that she did held my attention. But yeah, I will see you guys next Tuesday. Scott will be back probably the week after. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.